So thanks so much, Barney, for asking me to come and speak. What a pleasure and an honor. And Brady and his family I've known for quite a long time. Your dad's name was Shane, right? Yeah. I actually worked on him a couple of times back in the day. Yeah, I didn't see Brady. Carson is your brother. Yeah, I didn't see them for. Well, I didn't see you boys. I saw your mom a fair bit here and there, but I didn't see you boys like all of a sudden you're like 16. And last time I saw you were like 9. I was like, what happened? So the title of my talk is called "What the Actual Fuck." So Marnie was asking me to come up with a title for it, and I figured that I could talk about whatever I want then if I had that title. So it's a really broad subject matter. But anyway, my name is Greg. I know a lot of you. I've had a business in town for, I don't know, almost 18 years. Used to be over there, now it's over there. It's called Proactive Health. So, yeah, I will start actually, if I'm running too long, I don't know, this might be like 5 minutes or it might be like, I might run way over, so just hit a gong over the time. I've talked a lot about different things over the years, and never really have I talked like at length about my own self. So I've talked a lot about chiropractic and health-related matters and nutrition and running and sports and that kind of stuff, and yoga. I teach yoga too, so talk a lot about that all the time. And I always speak a little bit about what's going on with me personally at most of my yoga classes, but not ever really have I sat up in front of a bunch of people and told my story. So I had to actually think if I even had a story for a minute. But I've been reading this book lately. It's called Acid for the Children. It's written by Flea, who is the bassist for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I read Anthony Kiedis' book like 15 years ago, who was the lead singer for the same band. You guys know it, right? Anyway, it's pretty far out, but you know, his upbringing, my upbringing, and Brady's upbringing are way different. But it seems like, you know, we're all the same. So I read this a couple nights ago, and I was like, whoa. Jess will tell you, like, I read it most nights by the fire for a little bit, and sometimes I'm just like, what the hell? But so anyway, winter 2016 morning, raw and uncertain. I wonder, is this angst the engine of my life? Is this the reason why I've been able to touch people when I play music, when I speak from my heart, why I always go as hard and as deep as I can? Is it why when people who care about me tell me to take it a little easier, I say no fucking way, it's all or nothing? If I was more happy and stable, would I be a boring musician? Before I learned about spiritual practice, discipline, thoughtfulness, self-love, and restraint, I stumbled and bumbled along through life, pushed this way and that by pleasure and pain. I'm still evolving. Gig tonight in Interlaken, Switzerland. So it's still a short little memoir, but I learned that I was a firecracker tonight too. Thanks. And I wish I'd have known the things that guy knows when I was 16. Holy cow. Proud of you, bud. Yeah, I was gonna try and make this a funny story, funny thing, but I'm just gonna talk. And sometimes it might be funny and sometimes it might not be. So yeah, I'm Greg. Do you guys want to do a little meditation and then I'll start talking about the story stuff? Sure. You guys want to do that? Okay, so why don't you just, it won't be long. Just close your eyes. I saw Jess do this once at a wedding, so it's like, yeah, I can do that too. Okay, so close your eyes. And I hear people say a lot that they can't meditate. It's too hard to meditate. It is hard to meditate. But all you really have to do is breathe. So see if you can draw your awareness to your breath. See if you can feel how your lungs move, your rib cage moves. Notice how it expands on the inhalation. Notice how the ribs kind of shrink on the exhalation. And the pause in between the inhalation and the exhalation. And that's really all there is to it. It's almost too simple. But just feel your body breathe. Feel your body do what it naturally does. And it'll do that whether you're thinking about it or not. So pay attention just for this last 20 seconds. Okay. So, little tiny bit of grounding. And that's when you can really start to feel yourself. And when you start to feel that, I think you feel us all, right? Don't we sort of? Anyway, don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I grew up in Red Deer, little city, 130 kilometers north. I had a pretty, would have been like the 80s. I was born in 1973. So I don't comb my hair anymore, I comb my beard. And I wear a hat because my head gets cold now. So we grew up in the 80s largely, and for sure I was going to be on the Edmonton Oilers. For sure I was. Spent a lot of time at the ODR, and just that's what I lived for. That was what my passion was. Simple existence. Played hockey. Fought with my brother a little bit. Had a 3-year younger brother who now lives in BC. And I went to Catholic school, and my family was a pretty big Catholic family. So Lynn said that she was kind of up in a way different upbringing again. But who's all Catholic? Is anyone who's familiar with Catholic stuff? So I grew up that way, and when I was thinking about my upbringing, I thought, well, how much of a role did that play? Because I wouldn't say I'm a Catholic anymore. I feel like I learned everything I need to learn from Catholicism. But one thing I do remember about it, so we did all the sacraments and that stuff, and went to church every Sunday, and it was a big family thing, and that was kind of a cool community, although it was fairly tight. It was my grandparents and my immediate family. And we would go to the Sacred Heart Church in Red Deer every weekend, and then have breakfast or have dinner. But we didn't really hang out with anyone else from the church. But one memory I do have of these sacraments is reconciliations, like the first confession. So I remember I'm 8 years old, and we're doing these sacrament thing. We're doing the first confession, and I'm literally laying on my mom and dad's bed, stressing out about what I'm gonna tell the priest about what I did. So I'm rehearsing it. Oh yeah, I said some bad words, and I fought with my brother, and I didn't listen to my mom. And that was stressful for me though. It's oh my god. And so this kind of plays into later, because life goes on. I too would take out my frustrations on the ice a lot, and not that I had a ton. My dad was alive, and I had a pretty easy life, really. Nothing major happened to me. It was all right. It was just growing up in Red Deer in the 80s. I guess that's traumatic on its own. So it ended up I was really into sports and working out and that kind of thing, and hockey, and then later girls, and just normal stuff, I think. So in which case I tell my daughters that they shouldn't even consider having a boyfriend until they're 30.
Right?
Sorry, Brady, you're pretty cool, but boys don't have brains till they're 30. Maybe that's just me. So yeah, like time goes on, and I'm in high school, and I go into this talk given by this chiropractor. I'd never even heard of chiropractic before, so I'm in this talk given by this guy, Dwayne Smethurst. He still practices, and it kind of lights me up. And I later start calling these things God moments. That at the time, like, I don't know what it is, but I later start becoming more familiar with these things, and I start calling them to myself anyway, God moments. And so that was what I would call a God moment back then. It was like, ding, something just like sparks up. So I'm like, yep, I went home that night, I was like, that's what I'm doing. And my mom wasn't too pumped because she was totally steeped in the medical model. And so she was really not all that happy about that choice at the time. But that's like 1990, I think. So anyway, so I ended up going down to Palmer West Chiro School, in California. I didn't consider going anywhere else because I definitely wanted to be only in California. So there is a school in Toronto. It's the only school that in English-speaking Canada, but it's like I wasn't very interested. A lot of people ask me about that. I'm just like, well, I had like one choice. I had lots of choices, but for me there was only one choice. So I ended up going down there, and so I'm 20 years old. I did 2 years at Red Deer College, just doing the sciences and whatnot. And back in that time, you didn't have to do like a full 4-year degree before you went down to Chiro school. Just 2 years sciences was good. I believe that's changed now, but that's again the old days. So end up down in California after 2 years. I'm 20 years old. I go down there, and I'm from Red Deer, so I'm a 20-year-old Red Deerian. You know that I can drink a lot, and I'm 20 years old in California, and the age limit is 21. Anyway, so I borrowed a dude's ID. His name is Craig Moore. I just took his Alberta license, and I got carded one time, and they're like, "Oh yeah, what's your birthday?" I'm like, fucking ask me my birthday now? So like, June 22nd, 1971? You're out of here. Shouldn't you know the guy's birthday? An ID you're gonna use? No. So time goes on. So that was a huge period of growth for me. Like just moved straight from Red Deer to the Bay Area, and all of a sudden I'm literally living with gay people, and I'm going to school with gay people. I'm like, I didn't even think I knew a gay person, at least not to my knowledge. And so, and like, totally West Coast, it's California, right? It's like the most liberal place that exists almost, right? One of them. So learned a ton about life, learned a ton about Chiro stuff, thank God, for y'all. I actually did study. So did that, and then yeah, was 2/3 of the way through Chiro school, and just an extension of Red Deer life, really, just kind of growing up and learning stuff and having some fun. And then yeah, my dad gets cancer, and so yeah, he had a really quick battle and passed away in 3 months. And so I came back at Christmas time, and he'd just been diagnosed, and then I flew back. Still gets me. I flew back March 23rd actually. I flew back because he passed away on March 22nd. So didn't know what was going to happen. Got picked up by his best man at the airport. My girlfriend that I had at the time and me flew back. And I'm like, oh, like I was doing exams and this and that. And so I flew back and see him, and I'm like, and he just says, yeah, your dad's gone. And I remember that feeling. Like, feels like my belly just exploded. And just, so rough. But, so you get through it. We had some really good conversations before that. I feel like I was just only starting to become a real man. Like, I went from like teenager and young 20-year-old dude to, I think it was 21, 22, we started to have like real talks about, I think the Quebec referendum was on at that time and stuff, so I was actually thinking about things in a different way. But so we had some really good talks, and all like we had a good, decent relationship. But one of the talks we had, a couple of talks we had before that all happened was he maybe promised to keep going to school, because it would have been easy to not at that point probably. And then another time, it was my grandma's boyfriend. Seems weird to say your grandma's boyfriend, but he was coming over. We had built a chiro table together at some point, my dad and I, so I could practice early on. When I came back to Red Deer, just adjust people way before I had a license or anything. But, it's like hitting a golf ball. So the more you do it, the better you get. So I started practicing quite young. Thankfully for you guys. So we built this table, and my grandma's boyfriend was talking to me about whatever it was. I don't remember, his bicep or something. And at the time, I was like, I don't deal with muscles. That's a massage therapist's job. And you guys know me, I deal with muscles all the time. But at that point, that's what I said. And later on, my dad's like, well, you could have just like worked on him, you know? I'm like, huh? He's like, yeah, you should probably start practicing a little bit more humility. And I don't think I even knew what humility meant. But that didn't really seep in. That's like still continues to seep in. That's seeped in a few times. Because as then school ended, I got through that and came back. So life is way different. So I was down there for 4 years-ish, and Dad's gone. My brother was in Australia now, traveling around, backpacking around. And then I moved back from the Bay Area to Red Deer. And I actually probably did say what the actual fuck at that point. So now I'm 20, just turned 24. And I don't even know, like I know I'm supposed to be a chiropractor, like I feel that God moment thing, like that's divinely inspired, I believe. So, but I'm not really feeling it. So I'm like, I'm depressed, straight up. Like, talk about community, like I went to school with these same 35 people for like 4 years. Be like, take 35 of us and do that for 4 years. Like, they're my family. And then that's just gone one day. And my relationship is over because my girlfriend was from Norway, and that just wasn't going anywhere. And so I'm home, and my brother's not even there, and now my mom's like still grieving, and I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. So a buddy of mine who had graduated earlier tells me about these locum things. So that's when you just like go and fill in for other chiros in whatever towns. So I had my Alberta license, so I'd travel all around Alberta filling in for these chiros, like in Peace River and Lethbridge and Medicine Hat and whatever, Vegreville, all over. So found out a lot about Alberta, which was cool, but I'd be tripping around in my car by myself for all these jobs and whatnot. I learned a lot, but I was still like messy. Like I didn't really deal with much. I didn't know how, didn't know what I was supposed to do. So life goes on, and I feel like when you're lost, I was pretty lost, you might as well wonder. So I basically did this for 5 years and backpacked around and worked for a bit, made some money, and was good in that respect. And I was young, so I probably needed to do that and learn tons. And then I backpacked for a bunch of times. Like I went all through India, and Nepal, and Europe, and Asia, and different places. And then I discovered yoga at some point during that time. And I also met the mother of my children at that time in New Zealand. And So life just happened, right? So I feel like I was kind of bouncing along like Fleet here, kind of avoiding pain and getting attracted to pleasure. And so life just sort of happened that way without any real core values. My God. Like I knew I was supposed to work hard, but that was the only core value I knew. Since I've kind of evolved in that way, so by default almost, where are we at here? So yeah, I met, Erin is her name, so we got married and had a couple of beautiful girls who are now 10 and 13. Built the business, started the business, like yeah, happy endings. But it doesn't necessarily go that way. So one day, I knew we had young kids. I'm not saying I'm the most stellar lover. Well, maybe a stellar lover, but maybe not. Maybe not the most stellar partner. Always. What do you think, Jess? Anyway, my marriage was it could have been better, it could have been worse. It's a marriage, man. Like, I don't know. You all have been married, you know what I'm talking about. So our marriage didn't go the distance. So we came home one night after a Christmas party in 2012, and I'd been practicing this yoga stuff for this time and starting to get more and more into it. And so I was teaching at that time, a place in Calgary, and it was actually the Christmas party for that place. So we went out finally, and I was like, yes, I'm finally gonna get to like connect with my wife, because we hadn't connected for felt like months, probably was months, maybe longer, but that wasn't to happen because we came home that night and she told me that she wasn't in love with me anymore, and our marriage was in like trouble, and I didn't really know what that meant. And then 2 weeks later, she told me she was in love with somebody else, and our marriage was done. And that like poofed, like my whole life vision just like evaporated. Like I had a plan. I had a plan to get someone working in the clinic, and then she's a teacher, so we would trip out to Australia and get a van, something like Scroopas did, and travel around, and she could homeschool the girls, and we could surf and camp and learn about Australia and just have this fun experience with our young family. And who knows what was going to happen after that, but that was my plan at least. But then it's like, basically like, just done. So I didn't handle that very well. I didn't know how to handle that, and in retrospect, I was probably still dealing with still not dealing with a lot of stuff, because I probably didn't ever handle that either. So I went into a deep pit of darkness and became suicidal. And sorry, yeah, we went through a very dark time, and before that, I think I was like just wearing like this mask of like just being who I thought I wanted to be, or pretended to be somebody, or I don't know really. Maybe I didn't dig that deep, but it's like that made a big change because it had to, and I became a different person. Like I became much more real with myself, much more real with everybody else that I talked to, and then talk about community. Like about 6 months after that, that's when I went to Bali, and then did a different teacher training. I'd already done one, but I did this other one. I was there for 5 or 6 weeks. That's where I met Jess actually for the first time, and then Jess and a bunch of 30 other people or something like that, we formed this community, and there was a lot of healing that happened there, not just because of the yoga, but just it was time. And I remember going to this healer guy. His name was Ian Light, and he was there doing some work for us. He was actually the partner of the lady who was doing all the meals and stuff. And he was, I don't even know what kind of therapist he was. I thought he was just a massage therapist. So like, I would just see these people on our training that would come out from seeing him, and they'd be just like a puddle. And I was thinking to myself, like, chiropractic mind, like, what, did he loosen up their psoas? And so like, I'm gonna go see this guy. So I went in to see him, and he started like playing the didgeridoo. No doubt. I was like lying on this teak wood floor in Bali, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful temperature. And he did start playing the didgeridoo. He chanted. He was like digging into my guts. I'm like, how did he know that that's where he was supposed to go? But I totally just dissolved. Like, stuff came out of me that I forgot about. Like, all this like feeling that my belly exploded, like that came out, and I had like this sensation that I was even telling my dad that it was okay, that he could peel out. I was done. I didn't need him to hang around me anymore, in a sense. So that was some deep, weird stuff. Can't really explain it other than the way I just did, but I felt a lot better. So that was my community, right? That was what I needed at that time to heal those parts of me, and like the grief that I was now feeling about my evaporated life plan and my marriage, and the unattended to grief that I felt or not really known how to even deal with at all. That came out too, I think, and then yeah, like that was a big change for me. And then things have been gone. Yeah, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Okay. That's cool, that's perfect timing. So then just working through things, right? I had another meltdown, I don't know, 2 years ago, coming up. Just not really anything specific, but just like, again, I think it's circling back to this all or nothing thing, this firecracker thing, too. Whereas like, I'll just take it on, right? I'll just take it on. Like, don't worry, like I'll start a new clinic, I'll buy a house, I'll renovate a house all at the same time. I'll still try and teach yoga, I'll still try and be a dad, I'll still try and do my sports, I'll still try and ride my mountain bike, I'll still try and do it all, because I can. But I can't. And so I just hit this big massive wall, and had to reevaluate for the third time. So, yeah. And then what I got out of this last time was it's like, okay, well, yeah, this mental health thing is real. And this mind-body connection is very real. And I gotta commit to this. I have to start evolving in my own way more. And I need to, like, so that's now what I'm inspired to do more, is more of the mind-body thing. And like, I don't want to just fix back pain. That's so boring. It is. It's not. But then, ironically, like so much of people's pain is not even from a mechanical incident. I don't want to start getting on a soapbox, but it's like the mechanical stuff is the trauma. Like, I dropped this on my foot. Like, that's easy. Like, I've had back pain for 18 years. I don't know why. That's hard. So, I don't know. I guess that's my story. I feel like that went well. And then last little bit is the thing about, well, Bob Marley's quote is who feels it knows it, right? And that's kind of what I ignored for a long time. It was like, this isn't necessarily the ruler. This is the ruler, right? And it can't be ignored. It makes you sick.